Hello, and welcome back to 50 States, 50 Murders, the podcast taking you, the listener, on an auditory road trip across all 50 states while discussing 50 different murders. Thank you for tuning in to episode 12. Dakota, where are we going to be traveling to today?
We're traveling in Knoxville, Tennessee to discuss the murder of Emma Walker.
As always, we have to thank you, the listener, for tuning in weekly. And this week, as we are departing from Iron River, Michigan, and heading to Knoxville, Tennessee, this is going to make for a 13-hour, 887-mile fictitious drive. And as Dakota mentioned, we're going to be discussing the case of Emma Walker. As we always do, before jumping into this week's case, let's go ahead and learn a little bit more about the state that we're visiting, as well as some notorious murderers from the state of Tennessee. Tennessee is nicknamed the Volunteer State, and I had to do a little bit of digging on this one to see why exactly they are named the Volunteer State. After doing some research, it was determined that during the War of 1812, due to the key role played by the volunteers from the state of the Tennessee militia, newspapers of the day touted that the military spirit of the men of Tennessee and the reputation that solidified them in the Mexican-American War of 1848. Dakota, I don't know if you're familiar with our president, James K. Polk, and his work. James K. is from Tennessee, and he issued a call for 2,600 volunteers, and over 30,000 Tennesseans answered to that request. Thus, we have the volunteer state. Shout out to James K. Polk. Where does he rank on your list of presidents? Is he top 10?
He's 11.
Oh, okay. Just outside the top 10. Okay. And in regards to murder per capita, we have another top 10 state. Tennessee ranks seventh out of all 50 states in murder per capita. And honestly, this is really just in large part thanks to Memphis. Shout out to Memphis for doing their thing. Memphis continues to rank in the top 10 U.S. cities as far as homicide, and it's continued to be ranked as one of the most dangerous cities in America. Dakota, I know you said Detroit is on your list of cities you'll never visit. You might want to add Memphis to that one as well.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about this later on when I'm ranking.
All right, perfect. I wouldn't personally recommend Memphis as a destination stop when visiting Tennessee. However, there are some places outside of Memphis that I think would be pretty fun to see. So we'll go ahead and jump into that a little bit. First up, I mean, the number one attraction for Tennessee, personally, I would say, is got to be the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Now, this one kind of surprised me a little bit when I was looking at this. Did you know that this is the most visited national park in America?
No, it's kind of surprising. I would think something like Yellowstone would be number one. But I
Yeah,
guess it makes sense. Middle of America.
yeah, I think the location really plays a part in that for sure because the bigger ones that me and you would think of are a lot more just isolated. So yeah, this one does make sense. It's spread out through a lot of different states. Zion National Park is number two with 5 million. You said Yellowstone, that's number three at 4.8 million. And the Smoky Mountains, they get 14.1 million visitors a year. So not
That's
only
not
are
even
they
close.
not only are they first, but they're just out here. Smoky Mountains, it seems like a pretty cool place to visit. I've never been there. One of the top attractions that I saw, if you're looking at our Google Doc, you can see a picture of it here. It's called the Klingman's Dome, and it's the highest peak in the park. It's right on the state line of Tennessee and North Carolina. At the top of this dome, there is a 360 view, and it's said that on a clear day, I don't know if I believe this or not, but it's said that on a very clear day, you can see over 100 miles in the distance, and you can see over 7 different states.
I think that's like the rumor you could see Canada from the top of Millennium Falcon. I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm buying it, but shout out to Wikipedia for that information. We're gonna roll with it. And if you're a fan of wildlife, like I know you are, here at this national park, there's over 200 species of birds, 65 different species of mammals, and there are over 1,500 black bears, which are most commonly sighted here at the Smoky Mountains. Is there like do you have like a bucket list as far as like an animal that you would want to see in nature? Not the zoo, but just in real life. You
Man, I don't know because like I would say like a lion or a tiger, but I also don't want to see those in person.
Right, right. I get that.
Uh,
Yeah, for sure.
I can't say that I have one. It would be cool to see a polar bear.
Also, not the kind of animal you want to see in real life, but
Well,
also,
obviously I'm not going to be walking up to it, but
yeah, yeah, yeah. But also pretty cool to see in real life. I get that. Polar bear would be pretty sweet for sure. All right. So obviously we have the Great Smoky Mountains. Me and you, I mean, you know this. I'm a huge music guy, and music is absolutely huge in Tennessee. So just strictly speaking in Nashville, it's one of those places where I really want to go, but I also really have zero interest in going, if that even makes sense. I think it looks like a really awesome place, but then I feel like you see pictures and it's just like shoulder to shoulder, extremely overcrowded. I mean, I don't know. Before I dive into it, what about you? Do you have any interest in Nashville? What do you think?
man, we're touching a lot of spots that I'm going to be touching later on.
Okay. Okay.
In short, no.
Okay. All right. So Nashville, it's honestly country music's just huge in Nashville. I feel like you could almost just say it's the capital of country music at this point. And there's a lot of different country music stars that are really buying real estate in Nashville. They're buying bars and they're like performing there. You can catch them performing. You can catch other up and comers performing there. And I found a couple of notable bars in Nashville I wanted to run your way. So we have Blake Shelton. He has a bar called Old Red, and he gets a lot of big name people in there. Jason Aldean, just Aldean's. Dirks Bentley has Whiskey Row. It's a whiskey rooftop bar. One of your guys, Florida Georgia Line, they have the FGL House. And got to give some love to the ladies. Miranda Lambert has Casa Rosa. And are any of those people I mentioned? I joked about Florida Georgia Line. Do you like any of those people?
I don't understand why Florida Georgia Line has a bar in Nashville, but I do think it's funny Miranda has one because I think I want to know who came first, her bar or Blake's bar.
I'm pretty sure Blake was one of the first to really
Okay, so
start this
she did
movement.
it probably in spite of him, just
Yeah, I'd
unless
say
she did
so.
it while they were married.
Yeah, also potentially a possibility. Yeah, I'd have to look into that more. But I do think, again, Nashville's like I'm on 50-50, but I do think if I am going to go to Nashville, I definitely want to hit some of those bars. I also saw that Garth Brooks has a bar that's going to be opening in 2024. It's just called Friends in Low Places. I feel
Okay,
like
the
that would be
goat.
pretty sweet. Be an awesome bar to see. As far as country music goes, it doesn't have to be one of those people. Do you have a favorite country music singer?
I think right now I'd have to say Jordan Davis.
Okay, something different. I like that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, I
cool.
really like his music.
Okay, so outside of the bars, also in Nashville, there is the Ryman Auditorium. I don't know if you've heard of this place or not, but basically it's a auditorium hall where it's just an old school feel. It's got like an acoustic vibe to it, and a lot of country music stars from a long time ago up until now perform. You know this Band of Horses, it's my favorite band. I'm gonna go see
Of
them here
course.
later this year. They did a performance here. They have a whole album. It's a live record, and I don't really enjoy live records, but this is the best live record I've ever heard personally. I'm biased, but great record. Check that out if you're listening to this and you want to see what I'm talking about. I think it's pretty solid. If you are going to travel to Memphis, if you're feeling brave, like last week, if you're going to Detroit, you want to see Mom's Spaghetti, 8 Mile, same deal here. If you are going to go to Memphis, I think it's fair to say that you have to go to Graceland. This is the home of Elvis Presley. As he purchased this after becoming a rock star. And I feel like it's fair to say at this point, it's basically just an Elvis Presley museum. All things Elvis. I threw a couple pictures in there for you. What about Graceland? Any interest in checking this place out?
I personally don't have much interest. I mean, Elvis, great musician, the greatest, but I don't really. The only thing I would say is I don't know if you've seen the new National Treasure show.
I
They
have
do
not.
like a whole episode where they break into a secret room there. That's pretty cool if
Okay.
that is real. If they do have
Okay.
a secret room.
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. I could see it
because I
for sure.
think was Elvis one of the ones that was like involved in Illuminati, or am I tripping?
I mean, it's possible. I don't know for certain,
I know in the show they directly link them to the Freemasons.
but okay. Well, I'll have to check that out. I haven't watched that show yet, but I mean, it's related to the movies, I'm assuming, in some sort.
Eh, not
Not
really.
really. Okay. Movies were great. So, okay. So that's the one stop I would suggest for Memphis if you're going to go there. And also sports. And I know we're not big NASCAR guys, but this one always kind of interested me. It's the Bristol Speedway, and NASCAR races here twice a year. Both weekends usually result in over 160,000 people each race. That's a huge number. You know, we're football guys, and I feel like just 100,000 is like a ton of people. So to imagine 160,000 is pretty insane. Have you ever been to a race before?
Um, Barberton Speedway. That's it.
Okay. All right.
That wasn't bad.
No,
That was a decent time.
no, I agree with you. I went
The
one time. That
Star
was
Boys
pretty
were
cool.
there. I don't know if you remember the Star Boys.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
I got all their autographs afterwards. That was pretty cool.
Nice. All right. And so this one kind of ties back to you directly. Virginia Tech, they played a game here at Bristol Speedway in 2016. It was a college football game. They played the Tennessee Volunteers. Unfortunately, the Hokies did lose 45 to 24. Got to throw that score in there. But to this day, it remains the largest attended college football game of all time. 156,000 people. Um, unless they play here again, I can't really ever see that record being broken. Did you watch this
No,
game?
it can't be. Bristol Speedway is the biggest stadium in America. So unless they go over, I don't think there's any soccer stadiums bigger though.
Yeah. So
There's some that are maybe close, but I did not watch it because this was the night of Stipe Overeem. So we
that's
were
right.
at
That's right.
the UFC fight. I was occasionally looking at updates. They were winning like 17 to nothing or something like that. And
Okay.
Tennessee outscored them 45-7 after that. So, I mean, not exciting game at all.
Yeah. I'm just kind of looking at the photo of this game, and it doesn't look very appealing as far as if you were to go to this game live. I feel
No,
like
I
you're
don't know how
really
you
far
see from
away.
that the top.
Yeah, you're nowhere near close to the football field. I mean, obviously the field is in the infield, and the football field just looks minuscule compared to the entire
Yeah.
stadium. So I
I
mean,
mean, we sat at the top of the horseshoe,
yeah,
and if you look at this picture, there's a NASCAR track around the field, making it even further away.
yeah, it's a huge stadium. I would like to go check it out one day just to say I've been there. I'm not a huge race guy, but I would like to check it out for sure. I think that would be really interesting. So now that we learned a little bit about the state of Tennessee and a couple of things to check out while you're there, Dakota, I'm going to throw it over to you as always. Let's learn about some infamous murders that happen to take place here.
The most infamous murder has to be the murder of Martin Luther King Jr. He was killed by James Earl Ray on April 4th, 1968. And this was in Memphis, where MLK was supporting a striking of sanitation workers. And um, it's pretty crazy to see the hotel. It's just like a rundown kind of. It's a real small hotel, but a guy with such great power was staying at this little motel, and he. I think the guy was he was actually in a hotel room across from him. So
Yeah,
that's
something like that would never happen today. I couldn't imagine a big civil leader like that staying in a hotel like that. Yeah.
yeah. Well, not even a hotel, it was a motel. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's even crazier. Yep. So next up, we have Paul Dennis Reed Jr., who's also known as the fast food killer. Reed
Oh,
was an aspiring country music singer who moved to Nashville but ended up being a serial killer. In 1997, he went on a string of robberies at fast food places, and after robbing them, he would kill the employees execution style. And all the robberies were a month apart. So he robbed a Captain D's, a McDonald's, and a Baskin Robbins. In total, he took 7 people's lives. He ended up receiving 7 death sentences, but with how long it actually takes to kill someone on death row, he died of pneumonia in 2013.
Okay. Huh. All right. So the fast food killer. It's got a if I had a top 10 of favorite nicknames since we've started this, I mean that's got to be up there. That's I like that one. The weepy voice killer and the fast food killer. That's got to be like my top two right now. Shout out to the fast food
Definitely
killer.
interesting. Well, you're gonna like this next guy's name. His nickname. Uh, Brian Looper. He was a former Tennessee politician. Looper actually changed his name to Low Tax
Oh,
in
okay.
hopes that it would push his political career forward. However, he was an active KKK member, and he ended up killing a state senator that landed him in prison for 14 years until he died. He killed him because he was his only opponent in an election that was upcoming. And due to state law, someone who died within 30 days of an election could not be replaced on a ballot. So Lotex was in jail and he was running by himself. He was the only
Okay.
person while he's on trial, he was the only person on the ballot. So both parties got together, Democrat and Republic, and they voted a write-in candidate, which actually ended up being the senator's wife.
Hmm. Okay. My guy was out here trying to think outside of the box. I can appreciate that. Low tax out here. It's back to back states now where we had a infamous murder in relation to taxes. Those are some pretty interesting murders. Tennessee's definitely got a long list. And as mentioned, they're top 10 in current day as far as murder per capita. So if you're heading to Tennessee, check out the Smoky Mountains and be sure to keep your head on a swivel. This is where we're going to go ahead and begin diving into our case of the week.
Now, before we get started, I wanted to sort of set a warning out to everyone. We do have an underage victim here, and this is definitely the hardest case that we've had to personally that we've had to work on.
Where's your emergency?
Joe Walker!
What's going on there?
I just tried to wake up my daughter for school, and she has no pulse.
How old is she?
She's 16.
You said that she's non-responsive?
Yeah.
Jill Walker had just found her daughter, Emma, unresponsive in her bed on the morning of November 21st, 2016. Emma Walker was a 16-year-old junior at Central High School in Knoxville, Tennessee. Emma was your typical teenagers. She had many interests that included spend time outdoors, doing such things as fishing, hiking, and going to the beach. She had dreams of going to college to be a neonatal nurse, which is dealing with infants. And what Emma loved most, though, is cheerleading. She was very passionate about it and was also very good, becoming the only girl in her freshman class to make the team. Through this, she met her closest friends and even a boy that she dated all of her time in high school.
Upon finding Emma, she was laying on her side with blood coming out of her mouth, as if she may have swallowed something causing her death, potentially a suicide. That was until detectives found a hole in the wall behind her bed. The hole had the impression of an exit, so the focus now shifted onto the shot coming from outside of the house. After searching the perimeter of the house, detectives found a bullet casing on the ground below the hole. They also found another casing and hole on another side of the house.
As a teenage girl, I'm sure Emma didn't get along with a lot of people, but none that would actually want to kill her. So the only person that came up and talked with her parents and friends was Riley Gall. Riley was Emma's ex-boyfriend, and they dated on and off for the previous 2 years. Emma caught Riley's eye from the sideline of a football game where he was on the bench as a player. 2 years her elder, they started talking and eventually dating. Over the course of the next 2 years, though, the couple would break up and get back together often.
Riley was a star wide receiver on the Central Bobcats football team, a team that sort of had the town revolve around it. But according to other players on the team, he was not a typical football player. He was more so a little bit nerdy, you could say, and just someone who happened to be good at football. He loved playing video games and doing other nerdy things, such as obsessing over Star Wars, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. When he met Emma, he was in a relationship, but he broke it off to be with her.
As mentioned, Emma and Riley were on and off for 2 years. The beginning of the relationship was great. Jill and Mark Walker said Riley was a great kid. and was very good to their daughter. But soon a darker side of Riley would come out. He became very possessive and tried to dictate every part of Emma's life, including who she hung out with and what she wore. During their fights, he would tell her how much he hated her, and one message she saved said, "You're dead to me. I'll check the obituary. Fuck you." These types of messages forced Emma's parents to ban Riley from coming to their house, and eventually end up in them taking away her phone so she couldn't contact him. They still found ways to talk though. Riley gave her an iPad Touch so they could text without her parents knowing. Among things Riley did to her was take his ex-girlfriend to prom the first year him and Emma were dating, saying he felt bad for breaking it off, and he promised to take Emma the following year. This type of behavior further made the parents not like the kid.
What a move. What an interesting move. Okay, so we got there's a douche, basically. Just a real douchebag. In the fall of 2016, Emma was going into her junior year, and Riley was moving almost 30 minutes away to college. She saw this as a way out. Not having to see him at school anymore, she broke off the relationship for good. Emma's life would start to go back to normal, and she became much happier without Riley. But he did not take the breakup so well. He tried to kill himself by taking a bunch of pills, or at least claiming to do so.
The night of November 18th, Emma was at a party at a friend's house when she started receiving texts from an anonymous number. They kept telling her to go outside of the party, grab her keys, go outside alone, because they had someone she loved. Upon everyone going outside, they found Riley lying in a ditch, saying he couldn't remember anything because he was suffering from head trauma. Emma knew that this was staged and left him outside in front of all those people, which I'm sure pissed him off.
Okay, nice. Good move. I like that. The very next night, Emma noticed a man dressed in all black outside of her house while she was alone home, and the first thought that came to her mind was to text Riley, asking for help. He replied he was speeding over and to give him a minute. Riley arrived to play protector, but shortly after Emma's parents came home and caught him there, they demanded that he left. After Riley's appearance, this caused her parents to follow her to and from work the next day just to ensure her safety. With everything seemingly normal again, Emma went to bed because she had school the following morning. Sadly, this was the last time Emma was ever seen alive.
With Riley being the only suspect off the bat, he was brought in by police for interrogation. He said he had talked to Emma the night before she died, but it didn't go well. As for his whereabouts, he said he was at his dorm, but he briefly went to his grandparents before returning. His interrogation was very strange. Throughout, he refused to say Emma's name, which is something common in killers whose victim that they were actually close to. They attempt to disconnect themselves from the victim as if there was no relationship there because it makes it easier to deal with. This type of behavior was famous in the Chris Watts case. Whenever they mentioned his kids, he wouldn't call them by their names. He just kept calling them the kids. And in this case, he kept referring to Emma as the girl. When they would ask for her name, he would say the one that died, never actually saying her name. Still, this was not enough to go off of, and there was no actual evidence linking Riley to the murder, so he was released.
Police received help from Riley's college friends, Alex McCarty and Noah Walton. They came into the station and expressed great concern with his behavior since the breakup, mentioning the pill incident and the kidnapping incident. But the main piece of evidence they provided was Riley telling them he stole his grandpa's gun for protection and later asking how to remove fingerprints from it. Then asking both of them to help dispose of the gun because he was worried police would frame him for Emma's murder if they found out he had a gun.
Riley was questioned about the information that Alex and Noah provided, and he denied it all, then later on texted them to not talk to the police anymore, but they didn't listen. They wanted to do right by Emma and help convict Riley, so they strapped themselves up with cameras and microphones, and they set him up, getting him to talk about disposing of the gun and agreeing to help him do it.
But I'm just, like, with my life, because, I mean, this is 7 years in jail if I get convicted of something I didn't do. Man, are you busy right now? Like, you guys do anything? Because I need you to, the blood. I'm going to throw it in the water. They'll never find me. We can go on that. The small relationship really looks out of the water. know it's fair. I know this. You guys don't have to come with me if you don't want to. I mean, I'm not too bad.
Upon arriving to the Tennessee River to throw the gun in, the police were waiting and arrested Riley for the murder of Emma Walker. Also found in his car were all black clothing, pinning him as the man that was dressed in all black outside of her house 2 nights prior to her death.
To rewind a little bit, when she called Riley because of the guy outside the house, it actually was just him.
Yes.
Okay.
So he was dressed in all black. He kept walking by her house and she noticed, and then at one point he actually came up to the door and was knocking.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, so let's jump to the trial. On trial for Emma's murder, Riley admitted to it, but said he didn't mean to kill her. All he wanted to do was basically scare her and apologize to her family.
First and foremost, I would like to sincerely apologize to the Walker family for causing nothing but pain and turmoil to their entire family. My words may carry little to no value to you, but I found it imperative to let you know the truth. That I'm sorry I took Emma away from you. That I robbed you of the experience of being able to watch your daughter grow up. Again, I am sorry. I would also like to apologize to my family for the pain and embarrassment I put you through. I love you, and I hope that you can forgive me. I know that nothing I can do will ever bring Emma back or alleviate the pain that I caused. But what I can do is tell the truth of what happened that night. My intentions were not, and never have been, to cause Emma any physical harm. At times, I was a terrible boyfriend. I caused her emotional and psychological pain during the 2 years that we were together. But I never once even imagined to cause her any physical harm. My intentions that night were never to harm Emma, let alone take her life. I wanted to scare her, to frighten her so bad that she would have no choice but to talk to me again, to confide in me. I would be there to comfort her and to win her back. I loved Emma, and there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about her or what I did. I know that I can't be forgiven, and this will never be forgotten. But now that the truth is out, I pray that it's enough to show that I never meant to take Emma's life. Again, I'm sorry.
In conclusion of the trial, Riley was sentenced to life in prison.
Now, this is our first case with a teenager, something that we said we'd stay away from. This case really intrigued me because it's our first case with a victim that had a social media presence. Through social media, you get a better feel of a person, their interests, and what they're like, what's going on in their lives. So this case made it a lot more heartbreaking because I was actually able to get to know our victim better than just looking at articles, reading their family, saying they're a great person, stuff like that.
Sure.
So a lot of Emma's posts were about her friends, a lot of happy birthdays, including the last one she ever made the night of the 20th. She was a very popular person and loved by many. It was also hard seeing her post about Riley. So she was very much in love with him. But I was also able to see how much they fought based on subtweets toward him. So basically through her Twitter account, you can see the rise and the fall of their relationship.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. It was definitely interesting to scroll through her social media and see everything you talked about. It definitely put a kind of a sick feeling to it all, just to wrap it all up. So that is going to wrap up this week's case in the state of Tennessee. And Dakota, as we close out this week's case, we've discussed the state of Tennessee a little bit and some murders that happened to reign in the state of Tennessee. We had a pretty solid state last week in Michigan. I felt like it was a pretty solid ranking. I kind of want to go back to your thoughts and opinions on the state of Tennessee, what you like, something maybe you don't like, and ultimately where you would rank Tennessee on your list.
All right, so I think I have a surprise ranking here. You had some compelling things with the Great Smokies. The bars aren't really my thing. Nashville seems like one of the worst places on earth to me.
Okay.
I've seen so many videos, as you said, shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
The draft was there a few years back, 2019. And there were 150,000 people in downtown Nashville. There was no room to even move. Like, that looks horrible to me.
Yeah, it's not
So
really your scene. Yeah.
I do not want to go to Nashville at all. Now, last week I talked about Detroit. I will never visit Detroit, no matter what they build there, how many mom spaghetti restaurants they build.
Okay.
So Detroit is the second most dangerous city in the country. You mentioned the first, which is Memphis. So every year Memphis ranks number one in for most dangerous. Like, we even covered a case for the Memorial Day thing.
Yep.
A former soldier just standing on the street and got killed broad daylight, bunch of people around, and for no reason.
Yeah, just for existing. Yeah.
Yeah, so I will never visit Memphis also. So that's two cities I will never visit in Tennessee.
Okay.
Now, I know a lot of people who like to go to Gatlinburg.
Yeah. Yep.
But I look at pictures of Gatlinburg and attractions there, and I don't see it.
It's like it gives me like a white trash paradise almost. Like, it just, I don't know.
That's got to be the most overrated tourist attraction,
Yeah.
probably in the whole damn country.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
agree with you.
3 cities I do not want to visit in one state. So my ranking, 49.
Oh, wow. What a huge shocker. 49.
Yep, and that's
All right.
only because Ohio is 50. Because I'm
Okay.
already there.
Wow. We're locking that in. I was really curious to see who was going to rank underneath Rhode Island. There's one of them. Wow. 49. Okay. Well, shout out to the state of Tennessee. Sorry about that, guys. I wouldn't put you that low.
Yeah, we actually had a TikTok viewer request on Tennessee. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that.
If
But
that's
shout out,
your state, Sarah. Sorry.
yeah, shout out to giving us some fan reaction on TikTok. Appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoy the episode. Sorry about Dakota's ranking. That's wow. We both don't stand by that. But all in all, another good episode in the books. Really interesting case, and I think you said it best. I think that the Twitter interaction that's out there, it made it interesting. And if I'm the last person to give advice, but if I could, for the young ones out there, if you're in a relationship like this, it's not worth it. Don't stick around.
I definitely can speak from experience. I went back to an ex probably 10 times after being cheated on and all that. So
it's not worth it.
The grass is greener.
Absolutely. All right, my friend. Well, as we depart from the state of Tennessee, 12 episodes in, a lot more to go. We want to continue to thank you, the listeners, for tuning in each and every week as we continue to cover a new state as well as a murder that happened to take place there.
If you've not already, please be sure to follow and subscribe, and tune in next week for episode 13.